Greetings, I am Tom Earl, and this is my year of depth. We know you could be anywhere, so the fact that you are here today sharing your greatest gifts, your time and energy means the world to me. I hope you know that in this moment, you are valued, you are loved, and you are appreciated just as you are. Today, I have an amazing guest. He goes by the name of Cody May, and we're going to get a chance here to introduce him. So the reason I'm adding this additional intro onto it is I recorded this way back in August, and it was actually when I started to transition from, if you know, when my daughter was first born, I was staying up all night with her. So my schedule was that I would get up around noon or 1 p.m. and then I would go to bed about 7 or 8 a.m. And so I was a little bit out of it. This is actually one of the first interviews I did back. And so I didn't really do an intro for it. You're going to hear in a second. I just was like, oh, wow, I haven't done this in a while. I'm rusty. Here's the intro. So I wanted to record this intro for us to get a chance to properly set the stage. And this is really a special interview with Cody. Cody, I've had a chance to work with, especially during the time when I recorded this interview. And he is such a authentic, intentional, awesome person. And at the same time, he's a genius marketer. And so I wanted you all to get a chance to have the insights Cody's going to share. And so I'm going to get out of the way here in a sec. Just wanted to do this intro for you so we could set the stage properly. And of course, if you want some more info, if you want to take your Facebook ads a bit deeper, just head to tomearl.me/ads and we got you. So without further ado, we're going to jump in. You can hear my rusty intro I did way back when I interviewed him. And then though, don't worry, once the intro's out of the way, I get right back into it and you get to hear the brilliance that Cody's going to share with us. So without further ado, let's do it. Greetings, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to thank you right up front for sharing your greatest gifts, your time and your energy. We know you could be anywhere, so the fact that you're here today, we want to thank you and share our gratitude with you. As you can see, I am not alone. I have an amazing guest. He goes by the name of Cody May. What's going on, Cody?
What's happening, my man? Thanks for having me. I'm super stoked to chat today.
Hey, it's a pleasure. Honestly, thanks for gracing us with your time and energy. I appreciate it.
Stoked, man. I'm stoked.
So why don't you, for the few folks out there who don't know who you are, why don't you break it down? Who are you? What do you do? What music do you listen to? What's your favorite food? What do you do for a living? What's your passion?
Man.
Anything you like.
These are hard-hitting questions. I was going to go right into StudioPTBO, but frig, we're going to answer some great questions. Like Tom said, my name is Cody May from StudioPTBO, hail from a town called Peterborough, Ontario. We're about an hour east of Toronto. A lot of people that grow up and live around Peterborough, when they're talking to a national audience, oftentimes they'll say they're from Toronto. I refuse to do that. I'm from Peterborough, Ontario, a small town, which is cool. We're known as kind of the Boulder, Colorado of Canada. We're a startup city. I love my community, which is part of the reason why we named the company StudioPTBO. We work with clients all across North America, helping them attract more leads, automate their lead nurture, close more clients. We do this through lead generation, Facebook ads. We build custom WordPress websites, and we do content creation for clients across North America. And really, I guess the overall goal of our agency is to draw attention back to Peterborough. We're super passionate about this community, super passionate about the entrepreneurial community. I really believe the entrepreneurial community saved me. And I don't say that lightly. It lit a fire under me to really provide more, contribute more. And that's really a high-level overview on kind of the agency. We've been around for 2 years now. I've been around with the agents for 2 years. We have a few partners and they were doing their own thing prior to. We all kind of came together, but that's a long story. We won't get into that. Food though, favorite food. This is a great question. We won't even talk about the agency. We'll talk about food. Favorite food, man, I'm a huge fan of pizza. I try not to eat too much of it because I am on a cleanse day today. So I'm trying to eat healthy. As far as music, man, I'm super into, I love hardcore music. I grew up listening to hardcore music. I'm like Under Oath, if you know who that is. I'm an under oath, screamo, metalcore type of guy. I have tattoos, my thing. I love it. It's my jam. I grew up playing in bands, and that's kind of a high level overview of me, man.
Yeah, my brother was a huge Under Oath fan.
Oh man, that just made my day. Under Oath, this is my jam. Like it's funny. I actually have like this tattoo right here is actually an ode to Under Oath when they decided that they were going to. They ended up like coming back, but when they first broke up, from 1999 to 2013, I have that all tattooed. It was like they were a huge inspiration to me growing up, and that band means a lot to me, which is like why I took 3 of their pieces of album artwork and I mended it in it. I had one of my friends draw out essentially like a mural, and I got it all tattooed on me just as a reminder of where I came from.
What did you play in bands?
I played guitar, man. Played guitar, sang a little bit. I didn't scream. One of my best friends, Matt, we played we played in a band growing up called The New Beginning. We started that, toured across like Southwestern Ontario, playing shows. I spent my entire high school career just like loving music. It was a different scene back then, man. Like, the hardcore scene was vibrant. It was, and that's why I say, like, coming back to entrepreneurship, when I say the entrepreneurial community saved me, it's like that same feeling I have about entrepreneurship is how I felt about music growing up, playing in bars, traveling with bandmates, having community. That's kind of how I feel about my team, where it's like, if anyone's ever played in a band before, it's like family. And that's how I feel about my business partners. That's how I feel about my team, is that they're really community. I think that you can draw that distinction between, if you've ever played in the band growing up, to being an entrepreneur and running a team. Like, I treat them very, very similar, where they're like family. So I grew up playing music. It was my creative outlet. And a lot of this video stuff that I kind of adopted over the last little while has kind of been that creative outlet, has allowed me to kind of, tell my story. It's allowed me to really still be creative. And this, like I was when I was younger playing music.
So why don't we jump into a little bit of that? So you mentioned video production. What can you go expand upon that?
Yeah, man. We have a StudioPTBO podcast. We interview entrepreneurs and business owners across the world, really. We actually just had Bradley on our podcast last week. He's like a CEO of Lightspeed VT. So he works with people like Grant Cardone and Tony Robbins and Damon Johnson. He works with like big names. So we've had some really cool entrepreneurs on our podcast. So that's kind of been an outlet for me to actually, communicate my message and actually get mentored by entrepreneurs. It's like free mentorship, and it's free. Like, I get to ask them selfishly all the questions I want to ask them. So that's the StudioPTBO podcast. When I transitioned into entrepreneurship from corporate, I spent 10 years in the telecom industry. When I made that transition, really my big thing about moving in, what got me into entrepreneurship was actually video. I picked up a video camera. I picked up, originally doing some photos and kind of dabbling with it. And then I kind of realized, I can do video. Like, I was kind of freelancing. I'm like, I can do video and make money at this. This is crazy. So that, video was kind of my opening to really understanding how to build a team, how to grow a business. And video is the reason, when I started the agency, we were really very video focused. And over the last, I would say, year, we've kind of transitioned into more marketing, more consulting, Facebook ads, Instagram ads. But originally, when I came on to the agency, it was really all around video content creation for clients.
Well, I know folks are wanting us to jump into the Facebook ads, and you just mentioned them.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, you said we do lead gen, we do Facebook ads. What's the difference? What's the overlap? Mm-hmm. Are they one and the same? Talk to me a little bit about those two.
Yeah, ultimately they're the same. It just all depends on what type of business you're working with. We work with a lot of service-based businesses, a lot of entrepreneurs that are passionate, that are risk takers, that are really, really sell their product offline. So we do a lot, we always say that, we always tell the clients that we work with, there's really 5 key core functions to growing your business. It's lead generation, lead nurture, conversion, delivery, retention, resell, upsell. So when we work with clients, we really help them understand kind of our 3 pillars, which are attract, nurture, convert. And really we do that through Facebook and Instagram lead generation. So essentially, to answer your question, lead generation and Facebook ads, we use to actually generate leads. We use Facebook and Instagram as the medium in order to generate those leads, because we find it to be the most cost-effective way in order to actually generate leads for clients, especially in service-based businesses. So what we really do when we're running ads is we try to give the end consumer something away for free in exchange for a name and email address and a phone number. And then we put them into an email and a text strip campaign that essentially gets them to convert, or we drive traffic to a booking calendar. So a lot of the clients that we work with, we focus on not only generating leads, but also their sales process to help them understand that no amount of marketing can fix a broken sales process. So we really look at the full picture of like, okay, there is lead generation, there's lead nurture, but we equally care about the conversion portion. So when we're talking about lead generation is just getting people to give you their name, their email address, and their phone number. And Facebook ads is just the medium in which we do that. Will that change in 3 to 4 years? Potentially. And we will kind of just hop on the bandwagon of whatever the medium is. If the medium switches to TikTok, we'll start running TikTok ads. But right now, as an agency, we find the most effective way in order to get our clients results is Facebook and Instagram ads, because we find that the majority of business owners that we work with in the service-based industry, they're looking to attract a lead or like a new client, generally 35 and above. And the best place to find those people are on Facebook. And if you're trying to reach an audience between the ages of 18 to 35, we find that Instagram, and because Facebook owns Instagram, it's a natural platform that essentially allows us to run ads contextualized to Instagram, but also contextualized to Facebook.
You mentioned the sales process, and I think it's something that's usually often neglected. Everybody says, what's your biggest problem? Oh, I got to get more leads. When I think the sales process oftentimes is the thing that's the most broken. What are some things, misconceptions, things that are people doing consistently wrong in the sales process? What are some things you suggest they start doing? Any kind of nitty gritty you want to get into in the sales process would be great.
And I would say 95% of people's businesses' sales processes are broken. And the reason I'm saying that is because 95% of businesses fail within the first 5 years. So statistically speaking, I feel confident saying 95% of businesses' sales processes are broken, because if you can't close clients, I think that's the majority of the reason why so many businesses struggle, is because they keep doing the same thing expecting a different result. And that's insane. That's actually the definition of insanity, is trying to do the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I think that businesses need to start shifting perspective and understanding that, if you I think one of the pushing back a bit, I think one of the biggest things is people just generally, business owners generally don't have a plan. So I think strategy is the best place to start of how do you put yourself in the consumer's, in the customer's shoes and understand what they ideally would want to go through. What does that sales process look like? For service-based businesses, I think that there's a lot of tried and true practices that still work to this day that people just neglect to do, like picking up the phone and calling leads. It's the easiest way to get an appointment. So, for our agency, we spent the last year really trying to really fix our sales process. And again, fix our delivery, because again, it comes back to the 5 key core functions of growing a business: lead generation, lead nurture, conversion, delivery, retention, resale, upsell. I think that people neglect one of those things all the time. For us, for example, we're really good at lead generation, nurture, and we convert at a fairly high rate. But our delivery last week was off. So we had to, I've spent the last week fixing the delivery piece. So, but where I think people struggle in their sales process is they don't have a strategy. So, and B, they technically don't even necessarily have a sales process. For me, for you, it's not a scalable, referrals are not a scalable model. They're just not. You can't, you can only get referrals unless you have a really clear strategic partnership referral program, like affiliate. I would consider a referral. That type of business model is scalable. But the way that people are generally doing referrals is people just come to me and they just expect, and a referral is a very different type of lead than an online lead. Online lead generation is scalable because of the fact that generally people that win in online lead generation have good sales processes. So the biggest thing I would say is like, the biggest encouragement I would give to anyone listening to this when it comes to sales process, somebody has already done it better than you and has already done the thing. The idea that there are no shortcuts is ludicrous. There are absolutely shortcuts. There's shortcuts to fix your sales process. I think it's absolutely ludicrous when people are like, oh, there's no shortcuts. Like that's bullshit. There are shortcuts. Me hiring Kat Howell in order for her to give me her sales process, me hiring Stan Way in order to teach me how to do sales, that's a shortcut. He's giving me the system. He's giving me the process that he's already implemented in his business. And I'm taking that and putting it to work in my business. The idea that there are no shortcuts, there's absolutely shortcuts. I just think so many business owners are afraid to part ways with money. They make $10,000 a month and then they are afraid to take $5,000 and hire somebody, or they're afraid to take $5,000 and invest into a course. I'm just not. I'm not afraid. Like I'm not fancy. Like I live in an apartment with, or like a house with 2 other roommates because I'm focused on growth. I've only been at this for 2 years. And I think that so many business owners would rather go buy furniture than go build their business. And that's, again, like if you want to perfect sales, I'd rather take 50% of my income and go hire a salesperson in order to help me build a business and get me to $20,000 a month. So that's kind of been the ethos that I've espoused to. And that's kind of been the ethos that I see all the other business owners that actually make it in entrepreneurship. Like when I say make it, I mean like build big businesses. They're not afraid to spend money in order to make money.
So I'm trying to get you to spill the goods though here. So I heard one thing is that folks, which was a big aha for me that you taught me, was when a lead comes in, call them right away. A lot of folks, especially, my niche is coaches, online course creators, they are not used to that. That's more of like a dental office or, auto mechanic.
Trust me, bro. I can't even get dental practices to call people. I can't get real estate agents to call people. It's a tried and true practice. It just is. You pick up the phone, like the clients that we work with, if they just pick up the phone and would call the people. HubSpot put out an article probably about a year ago saying that if you call your lead within 5 minutes, you increase your conversion rate by 100 times. Like all the CRM data, all the scientific data says that if you call your lead within 5 minutes, you increase your conversion rate by 100 times. You are stupid if you don't do that. Like you're just dumb. Like it's just like, again, the stats don't lie. It's just like stats say 95% of businesses fail within the first 5 years. I don't want to be that statistic. So I'm going to pick up the phone. I'm going to call the person. And then from there, it's like the first time you did a sales pitch to somebody, like, we follow the 2-call sales process. The first couple of times sucked. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to get on the phone. I didn't want to learn it. It's like everything. It's like working out. It's like the first couple of times it's tough, and it's like, well, I don't want to go to the gym because this sucks, or running, whatever, quit anything. I think ultimately at the end of the day, if you just follow those processes and like you picked up the phone, you said, hey, Rick, it's Cody from StudioPTBO. I saw you downloaded this resource. And then you just kind of go from there. You have a quick few minutes to chat. Oh yeah, a quick few minutes to chat. Or you don't? Okay, I'll call you back next week at, Friday, June the 30th at 12 p.m. Is that cool? Okay, cool. I'll call you back then. So there are companies, like I want people that are listening to this, especially coaches, I want people to understand that there are companies built on calling leads. Like they have entire businesses built on just calling leads because it works. Like telemarketers make money, and outbound salespeople make a lot of money, like $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 or $500,000 a year by calling leads. Like it's just, like for me, it's just one of those things where you can generate leads for like $1, $2, $5, $6, $10 a lead on Facebook for you to get their information and call them, especially if you're selling high ticket. So specifically around coaches, like if I'm selling a high ticket item, I'm not selling that on Facebook. I'm sorry. You're just not. Like you need to get the person on the phone. And what's the easiest way to get them on the phone? It's always going to cost you more money and this is what I've found, like it's always going to cost you more money to have an automated pipeline built out. And I know a lot of gurus and a lot of, even the Kat Howells of the world talk about an automated pipeline, but they pump a lot of money into Facebook in order to get somebody to pick up the phone and like book a call with you. That's the longer route. People are going to do that regardless, but I've found, especially in the real estate industry, it's better because of the way that they specifically operate themselves. They do a lot of outbound calls. I found that this process just works in any service-based business. And I'm not the first one to say this. I'm not speaking new information. I heard a podcast recently about from Alex Hermosi from Gym Launch, who echoes the exact same thing. When he started his agency from zero, not his agency, when he started his Gym Launch, I think he said from 0 to 50K was all him attracting leads and picking up the phone and calling people. So I don't know. I just think that people miss this boat so much, and it's not talked about enough in the industry. I just don't think enough people are talking about it. I don't think enough people are talking about hiring an inside sales agent to call your leads. Hire a VA. We have a VA. I think we pay him $1,000 a month in order to call our leads. It's way cheaper than I can get way more calls that way than if I were to run an automated pipeline.
Yeah, I think especially for, my niche is mostly coaches, course creators, and folks like that, where we're listening to gurus who have tons and tons of resources for massive amounts of retargeting, and they can wait for you to convert a year later. They don't, because they have enough people coming through. But most folks I know, they need to make their ad spend this month. And so you don't have time for a 15-part nurture sequence, webinar, get on the phone, get them on the call. You can contract the amount of time it takes to build a relationship by
zero phone. Exactly. 0 to 20K is a lot different of a conversation than 20 to 50. And that conversation changes at 50K to 100K. The conversations just keep on changing. When you're making over $50,000 a month in revenue, you can make different decisions than 0 to 20K. And I just think there are so many different things, like you mentioned, of picking up the phone. When we went 0 to 20K, we had to find a way to make $1,000 a month in ad spend work. We didn't have $10,000 a month in ad spend because we weren't making that. So this is the easiest way is just pick up the phone and call people for sure.
Just to add in my 2 cents, I'd said it yesterday to someone, and it was a nice aha for me if I can toot my own horn. It's if you're a coach, you are competing with, the Brendan Burchards of the world, the Eric Thomases, those kind of people, the Daniel Leslie's, Jasmine Stars. You are competing with those people. So, whether it's a $50 membership, it's you or Jasmine Star, whether it's a $2,000 course, you or Daniel Leslie. The thing that differentiates, I think, you is that if you get on the phone with somebody, it's yes, I can get this person who's been in the game and has made millions of dollars, made people millions of dollars. Or you who are getting people results, you're not quite there, but I actually get to talk to you. Yeah. You're actually, so instead of you get the person, you can share who you are one-to-one, whereas these big people can't scale that anymore. They can't talk to each of their people one-to-one. So I think that can be a way you can differentiate yourself.
100%. And what's funny about what you just said, because the first person you mentioned was Brendan Burchard. So I just hired Brendan Burchard's team in order to do some high performance coaching with me. Another investment that I made this year. And how did he close me? He closed me through an outbound sales agent. They called me. They had my information. I bought some of their other courses, but it was a high ticket item. I think I spent about $12,000 on the course. It's 12 weeks of coaching and 12 weeks of group coaching, 12 weeks of one-to-one coaching, 12 weeks of group coaching, $12,000. I would never purchase that $12,000 coaching program without a 2-call sales process. So it literally was a 2-call sales process. They called me. They said, "Is now a good time to chat?" I'm yeah, I got some time. And they asked me some questions. Actually, sorry, it was a 3-part call. So it was do you have time? And then we set up an appointment, which is exactly what we do, 3-part. They did the exact thing that I am telling all of our clients to do. First call to appointment setting of the first call, discovery call. Second call goes to the pitch and shut up call. And that's what they did. And he's like, "Okay, here's the price. Is that good?" I'm like, "You know what? I spent an hour with you yesterday. So absolutely. Yeah, let's do it. And like, I wasn't expecting to spend $12,000 and I did because he sold me. Like he sold me. Like, I believe that like it's going to be a great investment, but I would have never, you're not going to sell somebody on a $12,000 course. You just won't sell somebody on a $12,000 high ticket item with them putting their information on Facebook and typing their information in, because it's a big investment. So, pick like even somebody like Brendan Burchard still has his team doing outbound sales.
And even one of the examples I gave, Danielle Leslie, she sells like a $2,000 course. She just started in the past 2 months. After her webinar, she gives the option to book a call. I booked a call just to see what their sales process was like. Yeah. And so that they're doing it too. So I've been telling people, even these gurus who aren't, I bet in the next couple of years are going to have to start doing calls. Even maybe someone like an Amy Porterfield is going to start doing outbound calls too. So
depends on I think it depends on the price. I think it depends on the price of the product. Like, if you're selling a $37 mastermind monthly, that conversation, you can sell that online. Like you can get 1,000 people in your $37 mastermind. But if you're trying to pitch your high ticket course, you need to put them on a call. Like I'm not the first one to say this. Like all the gurus will tell you this too.
So let's talk about some Facebook ad stuff. And first of all, thanks for dropping some of those gems. I think that's it's going to blow a lot of people's minds on that last part. So a question that people ask a lot is, I write an ad, I build an ad, I launch the ad. How do I know if the ad is performing well? Like if it should be, I just need patience, or I need to turn it off and tweak something. How do I know that? How do you know that?
So I think the biggest thing is it's short-term and long-term. So how do I know an ad is performing? For me, if we come back to the sales process, how many leads am I getting and how many are converting to a first call? So I think it's like, in the service-based business, it's different. Like the ad conversation is different in service-based businesses where I want to get people off the call. My tracking needs to not happen necessarily as much on Facebook. It needs to happen more in I have to map out my sales process. It's like, how many leads do I need to get in order to book a call? And then from there, what is my first call? Like, what is my ratio from first to second call? And then, what's my ratio from second call to close? I think the conversation is a lot bigger than Facebook ads. I think obviously there's different things you want to look at as far as like, when we're working with service-based businesses, it's very focused around list building, because I think, so I heard Taki Moore, I'm a really big fan of what he's doing in the coaching space. And he always says that 15% of the market's ready to go right now. So when a lead comes in, that's why you need to follow up with leads within 5 minutes, because 15% of the market are ready to buy your product right now. But the interesting stat is there's 35% of the market that needs to be nurtured over could be a 6 to 18 month window, if not longer, because people often have long buying cycles, especially in the coaching world, where it's like hiring a coach is somebody that you're trusting in and that you're expecting them to help you grow your business. So if it's business coaching, or if it's life coaching or spirit, whatever type of coaching it's in, the person's hiring you in order to help them get a result. So it's very personal, like business coaching, life coaching, whatever type of coaching it is. So I think the important part to understand about lead generation is, again, I agree with you, patience. Number 2 is lead cost. So how much are leads costing? And there's different levels of leads. Like if you're running an ebook download, you should be able to generate an ebook download for, I don't know, like $1 to $10 per lead. We generally look at that as like, hey, like, $5 a lead. That's like, we're doing well, because 35% of the market, if you remember, needs to be nurtured over the course of 6 to 18 months. So that's where email and text automation, and what we always say to our clients is like, you generated a lead, until they opted your campaign, you have a potential client. So it's a different way of looking at business, where it's like, man, especially if you're selling high ticket. So it's like, if I'm generating, 100 leads at $5 a lead, I spent $500 and I only sold one person, but I sold them my $5,000, program. what is the ROI on that? Like, yeah, like that's crazy ROI. I generate 100 leads and I close one person at a 5,000, especially if you're selling high ticket. Like, it's just like that for me is ROI. But again, that has a lot to do with the sales process. The other element to it within Facebook advertising, you got to look at is, especially in the coaching world, is the branding. What does your branding look like? What does your messaging look like? And I think as far as performance goes, a lot of times what we'll do is we'll actually run conversion ads. So generally there's 3 types of ads that we'll run whenever we're doing building like a list building campaign. So generally we'll run a lead form ad, so an actual lead ad, and generally there are a few different types of, and I'll go micro here. Generally there's a few types of ads that really work. So it could be a lead form that essentially is an ebook, a case study we find really effective in the top of funnel, or the third one could be free training. And that essentially gets the lead into your world. It's a free opt-in, it's a free lead magnet. And then what we do is we retarget those leads, and we generally use, in what we call middle of the funnel, we use Kurt Malley's belt method. And Kurt Malley's belt method is just generally around targeting hot audiences. And there's different types of hot audiences that, people that engage, people that downloaded the resource, and you just want to hit them with propaganda is essentially what he says. And it's like, how can I get as many videos as I possibly can in front of as many people as possible, whether it be video testimonials, which I'm a huge proponent of. If you as a coach do not have social proof, like come on, like you need to have social proof. You need to have video testimonials, and it's not enough to just have testimonials. The reason I say video testimonials is because there's so much online. There's so much fake crap online, and it's just people are skeptical of actually believing. So video testimonials just bring that little extra to the conversation. So the biggest thing I would say is like lead gen ad in the top of funnel. Generally, we'll either run a conversion ad in the middle and bottom of funnel or a reach ad. And that's generally the process that we take to set up what we call a minimum viable funnel. Like if you have a limited ad budget, you need to generate leads and you need to push them to a booking calendar. That's simple. Like it's people complicate that they need this like 5-step funnel, and that might work if you are selling like a $397 course, and then you have your bump upsell to like a $37 like mastermind monthly. Like I actually just went through that. I just bought Brad Lee's course. It was $397. It was Closer School Live, and then the bump was a $37 a month mastermind to Closer School Live. So that works. But if you were trying to sell me a $5,000 course and then bump to a like a $500 a month mastermind, you probably want to get me on the phone in order to sell that. So it all depends on what you're selling. If you're selling high ticket, you should get them off of which generally the majority of the clients that we work with are selling high ticket. And I consider high ticket anything over $2,000. If you're selling a product or a service over $2,000, I would consider that high ticket, and I would consider that you need to take them offline.
So just a couple, just want to play back some of the things you said and get a couple stats going in there. So basically what I'm hearing is you got to look at it holistically. You can't just get stuck on the Facebook stats of your ads, because those actually might be good. It might be the sales process that's busted. It might be that you're not getting people to actually book a call. So maybe let's start with the end in mind and work back. I kind of heard 3 segments of like closing on the actual call, getting leads to actually book, and actually getting leads. Mm-hmm. So maybe if you could kind of go through just some base level, like, so, range. So should people be closing 1% of people that get on the phone? Should they be getting 5% of leads to actually book? Should they be getting, just if you could give a couple of those stats that you find. And I know we're speaking in general and every niche is its own thing, but anything you can share on that.
Yeah. In general terms, like online lead generation, like if you're closing if you're getting 1 to 20% of your leads into a call, I would consider that success. And again, it all depends on, it's over time. Like if I generate 100 leads and I can generate 100 leads and book like 5 calls, I'd be fairly happy with that. Because, especially like if we're talking the first month, like in real estate specifically, it takes about 100 leads in order to get 1 to 3 buyers in real estate. So it's like you mentioned, it's different in every industry. In real estate, it's a little bit more aggressive, but in the coaching space, I think that, I've worked with coaches in the past that can generate, a little bit even better than real estate, because it's different, because it's more niched. And I think that a lot of coaches, they niche down. So they're already speaking to a direct target audience. And I think whenever you do that, you ultimately are going to increase your chances of converting them from a lead to they're still a lead from the initial download of whatever the product, whatever the offer is, to a call. I think that can, if we put roughly a 5 to 10% bump on that, I would call that fairly effective. Now, how you do that is you pick up the phone and you call them. The lead comes in, and you'll find majority, especially if you're working in a specific niche, you'll find that the majority of people are actually they're pretty legitimate if you touch on their pain points. And this comes down to copy, and it comes down, there's so many different things to kind of factor in when writing good messaging and good copy. But it comes back to, my conversation of there are absolutely shortcuts. There's funnel secrets. There's, Russell Brunson's copywriting secrets, or Jim Edwards. There's ways to write better copy, which I think is a lost art. But as far as stats, I'm always comfortable saying 1 to 5%. You should be able to book calls, which, when you think, if you're selling high ticket, is fairly good, because if I have and as far as from closing, ideally, the average closer can close at about a 20 to 30% closing ratio. If you're really good, you'll close 40 to 50% of your actual calls. But then again, it comes down to, having a sales process, hiring somebody to actually physically help you build out that sales process. Before you start generating leads, you need to understand how you're going to close them. So, I hope I answered all your questions and gave you some hard stats there, but that's kind of, if you're closing at a 20 to 30% of your leads that come in, I would say that's fairly good.
Okay, so I'll just run it back. So We're looking at between $5 to $20 leads. That's a good dollar. That's a good range.
Yep.
We're looking at a 1 to 5% of those leads, book a first call, and you should aim to close 20 to 30% of those people.
Yep.
Dope.
I think it's pretty good.
And I think, just for folks listening, that a lot of people get really caught up in the minutia, the click-through rates and the this and the that. And I think if you just start, especially if you're under $2,500 in ad spend a month, just start with those stats. And if you notice that you're bringing in leads at $30 a lead, well, you don't have to look at too much of the minutia. It's not working. And for most people, though, I think getting the leads isn't going to be the hard part. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think most people, when they're not closing, get frustrated and blame the lead process. They're like, oh, they're just not good quality leads, when it's usually that we just got to get better at closing, get a sales coach, listen to some more of these interviews that I have, contact me, I'll train you up, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I think the other element is just a brand awareness thing. I think that, you look at the big gurus and how focused they are around brand. And I feel like anyone listening back to this can build their own propaganda. You can be the know all, end all, be all person in your industry with a good amount of social proof. You just can, through retargeting. I think that having a clear sales strategy and having a good retargeting strategy is ultimately the thing that's going to make you more money. It just is.
So that's kind of the last thing I want to talk about. Do you have about 5 more minutes before we head out?
Absolutely.
So the other thing I wanted to talk about was retargeting. So you had mentioned, the belt method a little bit there. What are some things, so for folks listening, once someone goes from cold to warm, so they now know of you. So we call that middle of funnel or bottom of funnel, where, and you can correct me if you use the term differently. Usually bottom of funnel, I consider people have seen some sort of sales page or have heard your offer. What are some retargeting strategies that you're finding work really well in either the middle or bottom of funnel?
Yeah, my approach is generally a little bit different than Kurt Malley's. Kurt Malley essentially in the top of funnel, he talks a lot about essentially retargeting video views, and I find that super, super effective. We generally want to get people into like our top of funnel is generally like a free resource. I would tend to lean more towards like a tacky more approach, where it's like, let's generate as many possible leads as we possibly can in the top of funnel, and then retarget them with reach ads, or retarget them with conversion ads that push them to a booking calendar. And obviously pick up the phone and call people. But ultimately, I think the most effective method that you can do is retarget every lead that comes in with video testimonials. I don't really think there's any like video testimonials and just regular content marketing videos. I don't think there's anything better than having somebody else tell your story for you and tell of their experience working with you, because people buy from people they know, they like, they trust. There's no question about that. And the easiest way to build the know, like, and trust factor is have somebody else try to sell for you, because essentially that's like, that person is, a lot of, like, we talk a lot about businesses being built through referrals. Essentially, you're building referrals strategically through video testimonials, because you have somebody else saying how amazing you are. So I think that if, from a baseline level, top of funnel being a case study, a free ebook, or a training, retarget all of those leads that come in and everyone that lands on your page and pixel your website, retarget all that traffic in what we call hot audiences, retarget it all with video testimonials and with content marketing videos. So video, even like for example, like you and I are chatting right now, cutting it into like a 1 minute snippet. Like, if you have a podcast or cutting into 1 minute snippet and, taking that content and getting it in front of people, or it could just even be a long video. There's so many different ways to actually retarget people with content. But I like to spend the majority of my money with our clients on retargeting to direct response, especially when they have a limited budget.
Can you clarify what you mean? Retargeting to direct response?
So retargeting to a specific action. So the top of funnel, the action, direct response is download this ebooks, but you need to give me your name, your email address, your phone number first. Retargeting to a booking calendar. They're both direct responses. So my direct response at the top of funnel is generally getting them to give me their name, their email address, and their phone number, and putting them through an email sequence. The quicker I can get the lead off of Facebook and own their information, like Russell Brunson says all the time, like there's three types of traffic. There's traffic you own, there's traffic you can control, and there's traffic you can't control. So if you don't have an email list, you don't own traffic. So if Facebook were to ever go away, you're essentially shit out of luck. You could build a bunch of page likes and build like 15,000 people on your Facebook page. But if your Facebook account gets shut down, you don't have traffic. So that's why I try to take everyone off the platform as quick as I can and then remarket to them on the platform.
I like that. So one last question on retargeting. What do you do for folks who go to so they're, top of funnel, cold traffic, they go to your freebie, they don't download it. What do you do with that traffic?
I hit them with testimonials, and I retarget them with the same download. I keep running that download until they download it, because I want to get their information off the platform.
Okay. So do you keep showing them the same ad, or if you have the resources, do you show them like a different variation of it, or do you just keep kind of showing the same one?
Generally in top of funnel, we'll run a dynamic creative, and then we will essentially test a bunch of different photos and then essentially remove the ones that aren't performing. So generally we'll run dynamic creative in the top, test a few different text, a few different headlines, a few different body copies, a few different pieces of content, and then we'll generally remove the things that aren't performing.
So is there anything I haven't asked you that you've been looking for an excuse or someone to just say, like, well, as a matter of fact, now that you've asked, is there anything like that that's been on your heart that you want to share with the good folks listening?
No amount of marketing will fix a broken sales process. Just won't. And the other element is no amount of, like I said that the other day, and like it's also no amount of marketing will fix a broken delivery process. It's exactly the same. Like, it's like you can market your heart out, but if you don't have your sales process down, you don't have your delivery down, then, like, it just won't work for you. So that's why I'm really bullish lately on the fact that everyone needs a marketing company. Like, every coach should hire a marketing company and a business coach. You need both. And this is speaking at, like, I'm a marketing company telling, like, saying that I still need a business coach. So if I, as the marketing company, need a business coach in order to actually grow the business, you as a realtor, or you as a coach, or like you as a dental practice, need a marketing company and you need a business coach, because we approach things very differently. We just do. Marketing companies focus on traffic, they focus on leads, they focus on nurture. Business coaches generally, or sales coaches generally, will focus on how to actually take that traffic and actually help you convert it. So that's kind of the thing that I would leave anyone listening to this with.
I love it. So for folks who are like, well, hey, I'm looking for a marketing company and I want to hit up Cody, how should they do that?
Probably the easiest way to reach out to us is if you want to reach out directly to the company, you can just go to StudioPTBO.com. So that's just studio, P as in Peter, T as in Tom, B as in boy, O as in Oscar.com. And if you want to reach out to me, probably easiest way is just literally search Cody May on Facebook. Fairly active. I do some coffee with Cody's every day, where I just try to give massive value back to the business community, because, like I mentioned earlier, I really believe the entrepreneurial community saved me. And I just have a desire to contribute, give back, and connect with me on Facebook.
I love it. Yeah, I highly recommend y'all check out Cody's Facebook, follow him, subscribe to his podcast. A lot of great conversations happening there. A lot of great content that you're posting. I always just recommend that people are copying people. And just absorbing what other people are doing. So Cody's a great person to just absorb the way that you're regularly putting out content, that you're engaging with people, that it's not you-centered, it's audience-centered. So, take some notes, go get inspired, get in touch with Cody, see what their team can do. I have a feeling they're going to, it's always a great investment in a marketing company than doing it yourself. It is, even if you're just getting started, having someone else get that started for you will let you know right away what's broken or what's going well. And if you do it yourself, you're not going to know what's good or what's bad. So it just makes it more, scientific, more knowing what the variables are and what you need to fix. So definitely check out Cody. Cody, I always like to end with, what is your invitation to those listening? What would you like to invite them to consider, to be, to think about, to become, to evolve into? What is your invitation?
Yeah, as far as my invitation is to everyone is, I would say I would invite you to become a lifelong learner. The reason that I say that is because it's changed my life. It's given me the ability to really experience breakthrough in my own life. I really believe that knowledge that is implemented is ultimately power. So I really challenge you. I really invite you to just become a lifelong learner. It's changed my life, and I believe it'll change yours too.
We were watching Family Feud. It's my mother-in-law's one of my mother-in-law's favorite shows. Have you heard of it? Do you get it?
Yeah, Family Feud. Yeah,
okay.
Totally.
So they were saying that the prompt was, if the world was ending tomorrow, what would you blow your savings on? And it was like Vegas, a car. And I turned to my wife and was like, an online course. It's so true.
100%.
Course addiction too, man.
Yeah, I don't even really consider it a course addiction anymore. I consider it just like a desire to learn. I don't consider it an addiction, because and it's so funny. I asked this question to Bradley. He runs a company called Lightspeed VT. I'm really a huge fan of him. If you haven't checked him out yet, I highly recommend it. He said, I asked him the question about does he recommend investing in courses? And he said 100%. He's like, actually, just before this call, I just invested in this $1,500 copywriting course, because it's so many people are afraid to get burnt, and that's the reason that they don't invest. But it's like, you can, like, okay, you invested in $1,000 shitty course, the next $1,000 shitty course, another $1,000 shitty course, another $1,000 shitty course, and then that $1,000 shitty course, and then you get to the course that you spend $1,000 on that makes you $1 million. Like, like it's like people are so afraid to take risk, and like entrepreneurs are made to take risks. Like, we are risk takers. So I don't know. I'm just not afraid to part ways with money, because ultimately I'm chasing the 39-year-old version of myself, and I have big and lofty goals, like I think we all do. And like, every time I look at people that have done it, they always say to me, it was because I did this, or it's because I took this risk, or it's because I spent this money, or because I hired this person. And I'm just like, biggest thing I've learned is I'm just going to hire more people, because it gives me it gives me more time in the day to do other things, to actually focus on, to focus on growth, to focus on high level thinking. It's been cool.
Well said. Well, I appreciate you, brother. I look forward to continuing to get to work together, and
likewise, brother.
I can be of support. I got your back. I'm here for you.
Likewise, man. Hey, we'll chat with you soon.
Definitely. And to all of those listening or watching, as always, we're wishing you peace and blessings. Thank you.
One more thing. I'd love to continue the conversation. Feel free to join me at tomearl.com/join. Subscribe below, or let's connect on social media. Tom Earl Artist. Thanks again for watching.